VCC taught us how to take an idea, prove its value, talk to customers, and really get a lot of important insight from the market so that we can actually develop this into something still going on. And the evidence is the fact we're still running it 8 years later.
It was really critical for us to understand what business means in general, and just realizing the impact that our device could have on so many lives.
Coming into the VCC as a scientist, I can't say I understood much about business, and so it gave us really the foundations and myself an insight into what business looks like within the impact sector and within environmental shifts. And so it was bringing both science and business together, which VCC helped to grow and really explore.
I thought that the value, if we did get to the final, would be the funding, but actually what really made a difference for us was the learning. You know, I now know how to run a technology company, but also the incredible network you get from it.
Programs like the VCC are so useful because ideas come from all kinds of different locations. Ideation is such a difficult thing to pin down, and the VCC offers such a broad scope of development procedures for people who have good ideas.
It's a really good process to build confidence in understanding, you know, where your weaknesses are, but also where your strengths are.
If you're coming in with an idea or with something fresh in mind, you do need some guidance. There's a reason we go to university, there's a reason we go to school. Learning is fundamental to people taking their next steps, and so providing programs which allow people to learn as they're moving into the business sector, it's fundamental.
It's that opportunity to learn an entrepreneur's, you know, skills, you know, experience, network, those valuable things that allow our incredible Imperial community to go off and launch incredible world-changing ventures. That's why it's so important, and I do think, having done a few of them at this point, that VCC and the Enterprise Lab is the gold standard of doing that.
When you're in front of people who perhaps know a lot more than you and who are asking you difficult questions, and being able to stand there and sort of proudly talk about your business is terrifying, but also a really rewarding experience.
You saw progress in all different verticals, you saw progress in all different directions.
I think pitching was my favorite part. Going out on that stage and getting to project the vision of my business and really sell it is an experience that you just don't get as a student.
Get started now. If you're interested, then there's no better time to start exploring it.
It's really just about making that first step into saying, I've got an idea and I think it could be something bigger.
Imperial is such a big playground, and there are so many intelligent minds around that you can combine together to create impacts that have never been seen before.
So when you have that crazy idea, take it. Don't wait to tick the boxes, and you know, there's the classic, do things that don't scale. Do it, even if it sounds a bit weird, or it means you're out there speaking to people on the street and handing out leaflets or asking too many questions. That's what you're there to do. Do that, explore, be creative, ask, and just don't be scared.
Welcome. Thank you very much to those of you joining us here in person and watching online too. I'm Royal Salahi, and I am delighted to join you to host what is going to be a really exciting evening. This is the Venture Catalyst Challenge 2024. We're showcasing the innovation and entrepreneurial drive of Imperial College London. Now, the video you've just watched included some of the game-changing ventures that have already been through the VCC programme, and this evening you're going to be introduced to 5 of the best, the cream of the crop of the current generation of Imperial startups. Now, this programme takes the most innovative ventures led by Imperial students and recent alumni, and it takes them through a really intensive 3-month schedule of business coaching, of expert sessions, pitch training, workshops, you name it, it happens here. And the programme is built around 5 sector-specific tracks, and these are AI and robotics, creative and consumer, digital and finance, energy and environment, and health and well-being. These tracks allow a really wide array of the best projects from across the college to access all of the support and industry-specific expertise that's available from the Venture Catalyst Challenge. This year, 200 teams applied to be a part of the programme. And back in December, 25 of those were selected to take part in this programme. And just last week, all 25 competed in the semi-final heats, leaving us with the 5 finalists who are competing tonight. Now, before we run through what you have in store this evening, I'd like to invite Imperial College Vice Provost Research and Enterprise on stage to officially welcome you to the grand final. Please put your hands together for Mary Ryan.
Hello, hello, hello. Magically coming on. Thank you. Thank you, Rhea. And yeah, well, it's my great privilege to invite you to the Venture Catalyst Challenge, Imperial's flagship program for entrepreneurship and innovation. I'm going to start by congratulating the 5 teams that you're going to see tonight. This is a fierce competition. I mean, the quality, the standard every year, we think, oh my God, that was amazing. It can't get any better. And then it does. So just getting to this final is really a testament to the strength and the work that you've been doing, but also the amazing ideas that you are bringing forwards. You will get a chance to meet all of those 25 teams that Rhea talked to you about in the networking event later, and more details about that will be forthcoming during the evening. Now, Imperial College London, it's a university and it's built on 3 pillars: education, research, and innovation. It's in our DNA to do innovation. And all of our community is really passionate about making a difference in the world. We just launched our new strategy, together with our new typeface. And in that strategy, you'll see innovation is really at the core. It's front and center in what we talk about and how we deliver impact in the world. And a key part of that really is, how do we help develop and train the next generation of innovators? And the work of the team in Enterprise and Enterprise Lab, the sponsors, the mentors, and the networks that have developed here are really core to developing that. So I want to thank them now for all the really amazing hard work that they do. Thank you. Well, let's see, I thank them. Thank you. Okay. I've got a piece of paper because I also have to thank our sponsors, and I really want to be clear, I don't forget our sponsors. So these kind of events don't happen without really generous and supportive sponsors. So can we also thank our key sponsors, Novartis, Undaunted, Terra, and Santander Universities. Thank you. And we also have a whole range of philanthropic donations that make this event really possible. And our partners and sponsors are invaluable to our ecosystem. We talk a lot about what we're ecosystems and building innovation. We do a lot of work at Imperial to really join the dots from idea to basic research to thinking about seed, thinking about how you would create a business opportunity, thinking about delivering impact. And you've seen some of that amazing work that is done by previous winners, and it's this big network and community that allows us to do that. If this is your first time at the VCC, then you're in for a treat. If it's not your first time, you'll know that there's been a whole series of amazing predecessors, and this is now our 11th year, and there's been a whole range of inspiring, impactful discoveries to translation to real-world impact. And no pressure to the teams here, but over those 11 years, we've had over 275 teams in the program. They've gone on to raise more than £210 million in funding, and they've created over 750 jobs. So this really is making a difference, and it's changing the world. It's creating the future. You saw our new strategy line. So I know you don't want to listen to me anymore. I would just like to say 2 things. 1, good luck to all the finalists. We know you've done an amazing job. It's going to be a great, exciting evening. To all of you in the audience, enjoy the evening, be positive, and please take time to come and talk to all of our amazing innovators afterwards. Thank you.
Mary, thank you very much indeed. On that note, let me just quickly run through what you have in store this evening, because I know you are all here for the pitches, and we will get to that shortly. So let me introduce you to the winners of each track, and this is in alphabetical order, starting with the AI and Robotics track, sponsored by Terra Immunoanalytica. Next, the winners of the Creative and Consumer track, that's Voxis. Introducing the Digital and Finance track winners, sponsored by Santander Universities, that's Surgery AI. The winners of the Energy and Environment track, sponsored by Undaunted, and that is Cyanoskin. And wrapping up our list of finalists, who you will meet very shortly, we have the winners of the Health and Wellbeing track, sponsored by Novartis Newbond. So welcome to you all, and congratulations on getting to this stage of the competition. Now this year, the VCC Grand Final has a digital event booklet. You can see the QR code on the screen behind me. You can access all of that by scanning the code. You'll also find 20 other fantastic teams featured in the online pitch book when you follow this QR code, and have the opportunity to meet them all later, as you heard. That will be in the networking session, which will be taking place directly after the award ceremony. Okay, now at the end of this evening, we'll announce 3 prizes, including the winners of the £20,000 Grand Final prize decided by our judging panel. The winners of the special prizes funded through philanthropy. This is the Moonshot Prize, which awards a team pushing the boundaries of innovation, and the Social Impact Prize, which awards a team making a really positive change in the world. Each of these winners has 2 separate prizes, a first place worth £10,000 and a second place worth £5,000. And the winners of all 4 prizes were selected during the semi-finals and chosen from the wider 20 teams on the entire programme this year. And we will be revealing the winners for the very first time tonight. Now, before we get to the finalists, let me introduce you to our esteemed judging panel sitting at the front here. And we are really delighted to have such an experienced trio with us this evening from a variety of backgrounds in science and industry. Please welcome Professor Eric Yateman, Chair of the Board of IX. We have Lucy Jung, the CEO of Charco Neurotech, and George Hadjigeorgiou, the co-founder of Zoe. Welcome to you all, and many thanks indeed for joining us. So, tonight, the pressure is on for the 5 finalists to convince these judges that they deserve to be the Venture Catalyst Challenge 2024 Grand Final winner and take home the £20,000 prize. So, here is how it's going to work. Each finalist has just 5 minutes to pitch their innovation on this stage, and that will be followed by 5 minutes of questions from the judging panel. There's a lot to fit in tonight, so I'm going to keep to time. After the pitches, our judges will retire to select the winner, and while they make that decision, we'll take a short break, so you have that to come. Following which, the judges will announce the winners of the £20,000 Grand Final prize, and we'll also at that point announce the winners of the Moonshot and Social Impact Prize. Okay, we are almost there. Just to say that if you are on social media, the screen should come up shortly. If you are posting on social media, please use the Imperial Enterprise Lab handles, which may pop up on screen at some point if we're lucky. But the hashtag to use is VCC24. VCC24 when you're posting on social media. Okay, enough of me rambling on. Let's get on to the good stuff. It is time to begin the Venture Catalyst Challenge Grand Final. And starting off with our very first finalist, it takes a lot to be on this stage, so please give them a very warm welcome. Representing the Health and Wellbeing track, please welcome to the stage Patrick Sagasti-Felver from Newbond.
Did you know that every 3 seconds, a life is forever altered by a stroke? And for an effective recovery, a minimum of 45 minutes of daily therapy is recommended. But currently, over 60% of the stroke survivors are failing to receive this minimum. And this is generating a cost of £26 billion to the UK per year. And that's exactly what happened to my friend Jackling. Her hand was severely affected as a result of not reaching this minimum, leaving her unable to even pick a single block in a simple game as Jenga. And even with the best technology available, she still wasn't able to reach this minimum, as she needed to deal with complex machines full of cables every single session that she wanted to exercise with her hand. And these exercises, they comprised boring and repetitive video games that didn't correlate to her actual task in the daily life. And with these difficulties, she decided to abandon these technologies and gave up on her hand rehabilitation. In Newbond, we have designed this effective but simple wearable device that eliminates these constraints and maximizes the daily rehabilitation. It enables her to continue her movements and interact with the real world while receiving therapy, instead of just playing video games, so Jackling can execute her activities of daily life. And it works like this. Whenever Jackling wants to perform a certain activity, the device will start to pick up the signals coming from the brain by sensing her muscles. And based on this activity, it will start to produce a precise stimulation that will support the ongoing movement, but also will go back to the brain and rewire the affected damaged area by the stroke. And this device is able to do all of this internally and automatically, so Jackling can just wear it and be ready to go in any affected area by a stroke. And we also have a mobile phone app to track her limb activity during the whole day. This is the result of years of research, including my PhD, to offer this level of integration of therapy into the daily life that no competitor is able to reach. And with a potential market of £1.5 billion and over 74,000 annual eligible cases, we expect it to target at least 100 million target initial markets. But more importantly, this is not only applicable to stroke, but to more neurological conditions, such as traumatic brain injury, cerebral palsy, or spinal cord injury. And we're expecting to start in the UK as a testing market, at first creating collaborations with private health distributors while elaborating our B2C model and route to the NHS, to finally be able to expand to the US market and then target further neurological conditions. And Jackling, she's just one out of the 40 stroke survivors that we directly engage over 4 local groups. And the first time that she wore this device, she was able to feel her muscles contracting again. And inspired in this, she attempted and actually succeeded to open a door handle, a task that she hadn't been able to do in years with her affected hand. We're a team of experts fully dedicated to integrate everyone in society, regardless of disability. And we have the best team for this, including one of our advisors that have successfully launched a medical device before in the market. And our journey, it started by continuous iteration of our device and IP identification, where we were preparing our collaborations for the patient involvement. And we're currently gathering the initial feasibility data while preparing to file our IP within this month. This is how far we have reached alone. Imagine how far we can come together. With £20,000, we can hire a clinician to prepare for upcoming clinical evaluation and open the door to the bigger picture, which is launching the device in 2028, including the clinical trials, regulatory applications, and maximum production to then be able to scale up. With an aging population, an increased number of stroke patients, traditional approaches are no longer sustainable. Newbond isn't just a device. It's a vision that has the potential to revolutionize and empower the patient's daily life. Thank you very much.
Let's bring your teammate on stage for the judges' Q&A now, and your teammate will join you on stage.
Oh, my co-founder is going to give you one of the devices.
Okay, and as your teammate makes it onto the stage, judges, over to you, beginning with Professor Eric Yeaman.
I'm going to field the question over to Lucy, actually. Go ahead.
Yeah, hello, hi. Thank you so much for the pitch. I was really curious about what kind of a stroke are you targeting, because, you know, there's a various areas that can be affected by stroke. So that's one thing. The other thing is kind of safety and usability testings that you've done so far would be very helpful.
Yes. So we are focusing right now in the mobility constraints, so in order to improve the range of motion that these patients can have. And we are targeting initially superacute patients. And then for the safety, we have run acceptance and feasibility tests. So to make sure that in this case, it's vibration stimulation, so that the patients are able to tolerate this type of vibrations without any molesty. But we're still required to do some more risk assessments, especially for the part of the electronics, just to make sure that all the compliance is guaranteed.
Amazing, thank you.
Okay, George, you have a question?
Congratulations, first of all. Great presentation. What is the biggest risk you think you're having to face ahead of you in terms of being number one in this market?
Yeah, so we see that the biggest risk can be one, whether this intervention can be actually work or not, and whether the patient can actually accept the device or not. So for the intervention part, we will be starting from the preclinical testing for the smaller number of patients, like 10 or 50 patients, before going for the actual clinical trial for the random RCT to evaluate the efficacy of this intervention. And for the accessibility, as Patrick has mentioned right now, we are doing the interaction with the local groups to see the acceptance of the device and whether make sure they can wear the device comfortably and throughout the day.
Can you say something briefly about how the patient learns to use it? Do they have some kind of phone or laptop-based interface, or they get trained by a person? How does it work? How they learn to use the device, yes.
So what we're trying to focus here is into create extra layers, let's say, of redundancy. So for the patients, it should be transparent, because there is sometimes cognitively impaired. So we need to make sure that it's the simplest way as possible. And for that, what we have is a set of electrodes covering all the muscle area, and it's paired with the stimulators at the same time. So at the end, they just need to activate the device, do an initial calibration, and then the rest of the therapy or the functionality will be done inside of the device.
I see. Thank you.
If you do have time, can I ask what's current strategy of getting the devices to the users? Will they be getting it through directly, or would it be going into prescription model?
Yeah, so our business model starts from the private medical device distributors to distribute to private clinics and hospitals, so that they can access to the customer, the end users directly. And following that, we're going to go to the B2C market, of course, and to the NHS from that. That's the strategy for the go-to-market.
Amazing, thank you.
Can I ask quickly about the battery lifetime?
About the battery life?
Yeah.
Oh, it's currently 6 hours at the moment. It's minimum consumption, the part of the monitoring the muscles, but the one that is drawing the battery is the stimulation part.
Of course, yeah. Great. How is our 5 minutes doing? Probably finished.
Thank you very much indeed. Please put your hands together. Okay, that brings us on to our second finalist. Please welcome to the stage, representing the digital and finance track, Natalie Cook from Surgery AI.
It's no secret that waiting lists for treatment are long. And that's why the government has placed this problem at the top of their list of priorities. Now, what's less clear is how we're going to solve this. And that's where Surgery AI comes in. I'm Natalie. I'm co-founder and CEO, and I've been a registered nurse for over 6 years now. I have experience working in operating theaters, as well as being a patient in them. And in fact, in this particular occasion, I waited over 2 years for this treatment. Unfortunately, I'm not the only one. In fact, there are 6.3 million other people waiting for treatment in England alone. I'm sure some of you are out there to know. This isn't just a COVID problem. The list has been growing since 2008 by about 20,000 people per month. And obviously COVID has accelerated this problem, with now the list growing at 80,000 people per month. We carried out a lot of research to understand this problem better and find out what are the main reasons for these long waiting lists. We spoke with clinical staff, administrative staff, all the way up to NHS board directors, and it turns out it's complicated. There's many reasons for this. And I'm sure some of these you can probably imagine. There's an aging population, there's workforce shortages, and there's also a lack of beds. But these aren't problems that we can easily solve. So we're focusing on a problem that did come up in our research and that we believe we can have an impact on right now. And that is scheduling. The fact that operating rooms right now, they're not being used to their full capacity. This problem is especially relevant to hospitals that have high volume, non-emergency cases, as well as public and private hospitals. The problem with current schedules is that they treat all patients the same. For example, I'm going to give you an example of a hip replacement surgery. On average, they book them in for about 90 minutes, no matter the patient's past medical history, the surgeon who's operating on them. And these are factors that should be taken into account when scheduling patients. In particular, surgeon performance, patient past medical history, surgery type, and the time of day. And when taking into account these factors, it could mean that Harry, who's young and healthy, takes less time, and Sally, who's a bit older and has a health condition, will take a bit longer. So what we've done with Surgery Eye is we've brought all this together into one seamless platform. All the theatre coordinator needs to do is select a list of patients from the waiting list, select a date range and a team, and then when you click on auto schedule, what happens is all that information that I've told you about before, it gets run through a machine learning model and it spits out an accurate surgery duration prediction. What this means is we can increase the number of operations by 5 to 10%. You're probably thinking this isn't a lot, but actually it could mean up to 25,000 additional patients being treated every month in England alone. And this is without requiring additional time, infrastructure, or workforce. We're going to charge hospitals on a subscription basis per operating room per month, and our pricing is based on delivering a 10x return to our customers. The market for this is quite big, but to begin with, we are focusing on validating our product in the UK market, and that gives us a beachhead market of 23 million. We do have competitors, in particular in the US, and that's Cuventus and Leantas in particular. They don't operate in the UK, so we would have first mover advantage in the UK. And the other two companies big companies, but they don't offer smart scheduling, which is our biggest unique selling point. As I mentioned earlier, I'm Natalie, and I have experience in healthcare management. Radovan is our technical expert, and he has built the platform. And we've recently been joined by our machine learning expert, Anna, and she is working on research and training the model. We also have a great team of advisors, a particular mention to Dr. Amit, who's an orthopedic surgeon, and he has been vital in ensuring that we're building a product that fits the market needs. Earlier on this year, we were awarded £300,000 from Innovate UK, and that's allowed us to hire the 2 additional engineers and accelerate the development of our product. And we've also been accepted to 2 excellent programs that will accelerate the adoption of our product into the NHS. With your £20,000 today, we'll be able to cover legal and compliance fees to launch our first pilot in one of our partner trusts that we're working on. And we're hoping to have our platform fully integrated by June with the hospital systems so that we can secure our first commercial contract by the end of this year. We believe that we can start getting patients treated sooner today. And that is why we are surgeryeye.com. Thank you very much for your time.
Natalie, well done on a brilliant second pitch. We would like to invite your teammate onto the stage for the judges' Q&A now. And once he joins you on stage, judges, it's over to you.
Great. I'll ask George to start.
Congratulations on what you built so far. The question I have is the following. I think the NHS is very difficult to penetrate, and I want to ask you kind of how are you planning to penetrate? Do you have kind of place in the NHS who are really crying for the solution and ready to implement it? And how will you differentiate yourself from other solutions?
That's a very good question. First of all, I'd say our network. So I still work as a nurse part-time in the NHS to keep up the network. And we also have Dr. Amit, who works full-time as an orthopedic surgeon. So I think it's very much about the network that you can create around getting in and getting a pilot in place. We've attended a lot of conferences at the Excel in Birmingham. We also went to Digital Health Rewired. So we're really building our network so that we can build up relationships with people in the NHS. But the reason is right now they don't have a solution like this. And so if you can create those relationships and then show them the difference that we can make quite easily without requiring additional workforce, additional infrastructure, this is something we can make a difference today.
If I can just add to that as well, the NHS is quite open to sort of pilots and initial trials, so it's a great first customer for us. The challenge comes more later long term, trying to secure longer term contracts, but it's a problem in 3-4 years for us.
Thank you. Thank you very much for your pitch. I'm really fascinated of your technology. I do want to ask you, I do agree that NHS is actually very open for pilots. In terms of your launch and the timeline, I do have to ask, regardless of the regulations, because this is going to be quite significant data management and all of that. So I do want to ask about how did you calculate the timing? And also on the pricing point of view, I'm presuming that you're hoping to work with the ICBs. So it would be great to hear about what kind of budget analysis that you did to get that commercial payers in that short term, because I was wondering the budget impact with your technology potentially will take quite a long time to prove to NHS that this is, like saving their costs. So may I ask about how you're going to tackle that?
So in terms of compliance, we've already finished our DSPT compliance, which is a data security protection toolkit, which means we can handle NHS data. And we're classified as an administrative tool, so we don't have to go through a MHRA review because we're not a medical device.
Right.
And in terms of our customers and budget, initially our pilot will be unpaid to essentially prove for our first hospital or two to prove that we are really delivering this 5 to 10% increase in surgeries. And then after that, that should unlock the budget for our software, because the way we've priced it and we'll price it going forward is to give a 10x return to the hospital. So if we help a NHS trust generate an additional £30,000 in surgery revenue a month, we'll aim to charge around £3,000.
Amazing. If I can just ask one more question on that note, is how does the installment work with the platform? Will it change, the healthcare provider's journey of how they're doing it right now?
You're talking about integration with their systems in place? Yeah, so that's probably more for you to say.
So we'll integrate with their electronic health record.
Right.
And luckily that interface is quite standardized. But every EPR has to have the same standards for sharing surgery information and other types of medical data. And our objective is to really minimize the amount of people who need to interact with our software, because frontline clinicians are already overwhelmed with 20 different types of software they need to use on a day-to-day. So our objective is that they see their schedule directly in their EPR. Their workflow isn't interrupted. The only people who work with us are the theater coordinators and the administrators, and then our system just sends a list of surgeries to the EPR, and then the clinicians see it in the system they're used to. And it also means that there's far less training and onboarding, because we're onboarding 20, 30 theater coordinators, not 9,000 nurses and doctors and so on.
Amazing, thank you.
If I can just follow up on that briefly. Things change all the time, of course. In operating theatres, people don't turn up or something goes wrong. So it seems like there's going to be a lot of dynamic use. Doesn't that mean that there will be a lot of people needing to, in real time, interact with your system?
Real-time interaction with the system?
Yeah.
Obviously there's a lot of, as I mentioned, there's not just one problem to these long waiting lists. So we're trying to have as much impact as we can with specifically scheduling, which could already help increase the utilization by 5 to 10%.
Yeah, but just to scheduling, you need to change the schedule constantly because something happens, midway through a session, and then somebody has to go in and change the schedule.
So we integrate directly with the system that's currently in place, so that there's no need really for interaction. They'll just use the system that they're used to, and this runs in the background. and optimizes the time that is spent in the operating theatre to try and spend as much time in the operating theatre operating, obviously taking into account the prep time and the cleanup time and the breaks.
Okay.
But yeah, that's
Thank you.
I'm afraid that brings us
Can I ask one more
time.
question?
Quick one,
Thank
I think.
you. Yeah, sorry, yeah.
One more question is, there could be a lot of people who are going to try to do what you do, right? How will you be able to compete and create kind of defensibility?
Yeah, that's a good question.
So essentially, the initial model we train, it comes directly from the hospital's data, from a lot of Excel files, some data from their EPR. It's a big data cleaning process to then train our model. But after our system's directly integrated with their systems, at the end of every surgery, the clinicians already log how long it actually took, and we use that as a data set to then retrain our models and check for model drift and so on. So in 2 years from now, it'll be very hard to catch up with us because any new competitor will have to work with some relatively unclean data that a hospital has, whereas we'll already have a larger and cleaner data set.
Okay, that brings us to time. Thank you very much indeed.
Thank you.
And if you do have further questions, you'd like to find out more, there will be an opportunity to meet and speak to all of the finalists during the networking session later this evening. Right, that brings us on to our third finalist, representing the energy and environment track. Please put your hands together and welcome to the stage, Emma Money from Skin.
My name is Emma Money, and I'm CEO and co-founder of Skin, the living paint fighting the climate crisis. So this is Sarah. Sarah is a prime example of our clientele. She's a sustainability manager for a large UK organisation that holds a multitude of different buildings, so over 40 sites. Now, last year, Sarah spent £9 million trying to reach her net zero target, and unfortunately, even with that amount of money, she still missed. So she used things like insulation, solar panels, and heat pumps. But all of these require really large upfront costs and don't get Sarah to her target. So what about all the other Sarahs? What about all the other buildings that are facing that pressure from the government and for the public to reach their net zero targets and unfortunately are just so far from it? So I want you to imagine yourself in the middle of the rainforest. And then imagine you could take that and put that on the side of your building without it taking up any space. That's basically what we do. So we produce a living photosynthetic paint for the exteriors of buildings that absorbs large amounts of carbon dioxide. So we paint a building and then it uses the CO2 and the sunlight to grow and forms this moss-like finish on the outside of a building. So it takes just 30 grams, which is about that much, to absorb the same amount of carbon dioxide using algae as a fully grown tree. This means that we are extremely effective at absorbing carbon dioxide, but it also gives us an extremely competitive pricing point. And it really is as simple as painting a building, which we all have to do every 10 years anyway. So if we coated all buildings globally, we could reduce emissions by up to 18%. Just think about that for a moment. That's over twice the total emissions from cars globally, or over 8 times every worldwide coal power station. So how do we actually make money? What we do is we come to the site, we paint the building, and then we measure and we certify that carbon, so that Sarah only pays for the carbon that she removes, and this means that she can hit her targets bearing none of the risk, extremely competitive, cost-effective for her, and really efficiently. So who are our competitors? Bio-walls, moss walls, carbon sequestering paint. They just don't absorb much carbon at all. Then we have things like solar panels, insulations, and heat pumps. But these are super expensive and require a really large upfront investment. Then we have things like carbon credits. Now, these are everybody's last resort due to a lack of trust. And then we have Skin. So Skin offers the perfect balance with high carbon capture, cost efficiency, and you can literally see it growing on the outside of your building. If we talk numbers, 170 billion is the valuation of the global green buildings materials market. Now, if we take that just to the UK, that's still 6 billion. But these are huge numbers, and I like to think of myself as a realist. So if we just take the existing letters of intent, the existing customers that we have access to a revenue of 149 million. So that's just over 1,000 buildings. In terms of traction, we've received lots of funding and awards in smaller amounts. We're getting our patent this month, and we've received letters of intent from the NHS, John F. Hunt, University of Birmingham, Taurine, as well as interest from National Grid, National Rail, and Vinci. In terms of technology, we've done collaborations with leading algal research institutes from around the UK. And we're super excited to announce our very first pilot in September with a hospital just south of London. In terms of where we're up to, we've been doing lots of tests in the lab, basically trying to kill our paint in every single way possible. So subjecting it to an extreme drought, extreme heat, extreme cold, no light, and it is still with us. So it's looking extremely hopeful for the next steps, which are all leading up to this pilot. And then at that point, we are ready to scale. So what could we do with your £20,000? We could paint the Tate, or we could paint Imperial's very famous Queen's Tower 10 times over. What we'd actually like to do there is spend it on these things here. So getting us ready for that NHS pilot, looking at lab rent, regulations, those kind of things. So why trust us? My background is in biomaterials science, looking at interdisciplinary collaborations with algal researchers and professors. My co-founder's background is in business. We also have a biochemist and an engineer, and we're expanding. So if you're looking for an opportunity, please come talk to us afterwards. And we also have a great set of advisors. So do you remember Sarah? Sarah spent £9 million trying to reach her target. If she'd have spent that same money trying to get the same emissions reduced, which is 3,000 tonnes on Sinuskin, it would cost her just £360,000, saving her over £8.5 million. And with that spare money, she could have definitely reached her target and had a lot left over. So let your walls do the work, and together, let's rebuild the world's lungs. Thank you very much, and I look forward to your questions.
Brilliant pitch, and we'd like to invite your teammate on stage now for the judges' Q&A. And judges, over to you.
Great, thank you very much. I'll start off with maybe a simple question. What happens to the stuff after it's grown and it needs to be removed? Where does it go?
Yeah, so we like to think of it like a tree. It absorbs lots of carbon on the way up, and then it keeps it stored. Whilst it's still living, you can leave it there theoretically for a long, long time. Algae is one of the organisms that was very first around on the world, so it's been around for over 1.9 billion years. So it is extremely hardy, but we are looking at doing a 5-year plan so that we could take that off. We can use about 90% of that back into the cycle for production, and then the last 10% we're looking at we've talked to different concrete companies about integrating that into low carbon concrete.
Okay. Lucy.
Amazing, thank you. Wouldn't it be beautiful to have green everywhere? Can I ask, regards with the maintenance is one thing, and have you ever talked with the construction companies and to get their thoughts? Is there any risk associated with your solution?
Yeah, so in terms of maintenance, this is something that we've thought about a lot and is really important in the development, that we've made sure that there is kind of no maintenance in that process. So yeah, completely self-sufficient. Algae has all the natural resources in the air that it needs to grow and to live. Yeah.
And then regarding the constructors, so we've talked to about 150 plus customers relevant for our solutions, and they've all basically told us the interest they've grown upon it. They do, though, regard regulation checks and certification checks, which is exactly what we are fighting for with a patent also from the UKRI. So we're trying to get there as well. But in terms of the technology itself, so that's also exactly what we're trying to do, right? As Emma said, we're trying to kill the algae in every possible way to make sure that the technology holds in front of the building for 5 years.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Congratulations, first of all. Well done. I would love to ask you about the patent. right? And given the properties of algae, what kind of stops people like me, for example, kind of set up a new company around algae to do this? What will the patent protect you from?
Yeah, so it's not just algae that goes on the wall. The main basis is the algae. So the secret is in basically what goes into that. So we can't say too much, unfortunately, until we've got that patent granted. But yeah, it's all in the solution. So it's basically something that helps the growth and keeps the growth to that area and really fosters it until it finds its legs to grow by itself.
And then to support that, obviously, our patent, we keep it quite blurry, so we keep it in-house in terms of further content of the solution. And then also, I'll say the network that we hold right now with the NHS is quite strong, and we hope that the agility of a startup kind of holds in front of a larger corporation who would be keen to steal and run away.
Great, thank you very much.
Thank you.
Well done, it's a brilliant pitch. And that brings us on to our fourth finalist of the evening. Please welcome to the stage, representing the creative and consumer track, Selena Surrey from Voxis.
Hi, I'm Selena from Voxis, and we're working on a game-changing air filtration device with a mission to create a new standard in indoor air quality. We spend 90% of our lives indoors, like right now, where air quality can be up to 5 times worse compared to the outdoors. As a result, we lose more than 3 million lives each year, while countless others develop serious illnesses like cancer and dementia. The good news is that we already have the technology to eliminate these pollutants, filters. Commercial buildings like this one typically have many of these filters already integrated into their ventilation ducts. The problem is that these come with a hefty price tag. And it's not the price tag of the filters themselves, it's how much it costs to operate them. It's a very energy-intensive process to try and push a lot of air through a very dense media like a filter. So energy intensive that we spend more than 280,000 gigawatt hours of electricity every year just for this. This is equivalent to burning more than 100 million tons of coal. So we have two options: high-grade filters, which are fine and very dense, and low-grade ones, which are much less dense, but also capture less pollutants. Most buildings we spend our lives in pick these ones because they use less energy because they're much less dense. So that's why we're developing a device to make it a lot easier for buildings to opt for higher grade filters. Voxis is a pre-treatment device that reduces pressure losses. We do this with a very unique technology called acoustic agglomeration. We leverage the power of sound to cluster particulate matter together to make them larger. Larger aggregates are much easier to capture, so they require less energy. We can reduce energy bills by up to 9%, while also increasing the system's lifespan. We also come with an 8-month payback period, which is staggering in an industry where 5 to 10 years are very common. But why should we care? Countless research has already proven that reducing exposure to indoor particulate matter means improved cognition, a lower risk of developing certain illnesses, and a higher life expectancy, which are all invaluable. And why now? We now have much stricter regulation regarding our exposure to indoor air pollutants. Our awareness levels have also skyrocketed since the pandemic. We're at the start of a new indoor air quality revolution. We identified 6,500 office buildings in London alone that are in urgent need of upgrading their ventilation, and that gives us a £39 million beachhead market in this city. We will then initially expand into Europe and the US, and that will unlock a much greater global opportunity. We will go to market by partnering with an existing manufacturer. We will be targeting landlords, asset managers, and facilities management companies for commercial property. We will then go into the residential sector. We offer a unique combination of energy reduction, capacity to treat particulate matter, and an easy installation. So, if you have a building where you want to improve indoor air quality without the typical energy penalty, then Voxis is your only solution. We already filed a patent and are working towards a second one. We secured an LOI and in talks of getting another one as well. We won 2 grants and an award, places in 3 incubators, and were offered software sponsorships by several reputable companies. We were also featured in the press, where our technology has been described as an unprecedented invention. I'm Selene, I'm the founder. I have a background in aerospace engineering from UCLA and a double master's degree in innovation design engineering from Imperial College and Royal College of Art. I also have several years of industry experience as an aerodynamics engineer. I'm joined by an expert team of advisors, and I'm also expanding my team and the board. So if you're interested, please talk to me after. We're now focused on the R&D and the MVP development. The 20K will allow us to conduct the lab tests that are typically required of filtration products, and that will make our first pilot possible. It is unacceptable that something that's preventable is still taking away so many lives. Voxis is the solution to make high-grade filtration a standard in every single one of our buildings. And we're not going to stop until everyone hears the sound of clean air. Thank you.
Selena, thank you for a brilliant pitch, and over to the judging panel for questions.
Do you want to go ahead?
Thank you very much. Can I ask, how does the technology work and what kind of testings have you completed?
Yeah, so the technology is called acoustic agglomeration. This is it's kind of like, it's actually happening naturally, so it's a natural phenomena, but we're taking it and miniaturizing it. So basically, this technology exists in very few cases in industry. So for instance, to treat flue gas before electrostatic precipitators in very few plants. So it's a very underexplored but quite powerful technology. So it's kind of like the times where we had our computers that were the size of rooms. So what we're trying to do is take that and develop the technology to miniaturize it, to make it available on a mass scale. Because, for instance, the HEPA filters that were used, which are regarded as the filtration standard of today, they were invented 80 years ago. And we see agglomeration as the next filtration standard. So what we've done is basically conduct these agglomeration efficiency tests, and we can improve filter grades by up to 3 grades at the moment, and our final goal is 5 grades. So we're working towards that.
Thank you.
Congratulations and well done. Can you help us understand a little bit what does it take to install it? So, for example, somebody who runs kind of a building, kind of what is the process of installing it, and what happens with the old system as well?
Yes. So that's actually one of the best qualities of the device is the easy install, because the last thing a facilities manager would want to do is pick a high-grade filter and have to actually reconstruct the ducts, because you actually need larger ducts, you need to change your fan. It's very costly, it has downtime, it's the last resort for any facilities manager. So this is why it has the handles. It's a very easy install and it fits into the ducts. Basically, we actually have standard duct sizes in most ventilation systems, so it's designed for that. And it's as easy as just slotting it in and seeing the device run.
Thank you.
So if I could just ask a bit more about the prototyping. Have you built a duct-sized device?
Yeah, so we built the internals to make sure that the agglomeration efficiency can actually guarantee 3 filter grade upgrades. And now we're working on increasing the size to make it available on a much larger duct size.
Okay. Given that it's acoustic, one would worry that it's noisy.
Yeah.
Is it noisy?
Yeah, so the noise will be entirely contained inside the device, but another benefits of using this kind of device in a ventilation duct is typically filters sit in places called air handler units, and these units are basically tucked away in a place in the building that basically no one has access to. So we also have that kind of protection if we ever have to basically use a higher noise grade.
Thank you.
Thank you very much indeed, and well done. Again, a reminder, if you'd like to ask any further questions of all of the finalists you see on stage this evening, they will be in the networking session, and you can speak to them all then. Okay. That brings us on to our fifth and final finalist to the stage, representing the AI and robotics track. Please welcome Adam Wu from Amino Analytica.
Good evening. I'm Adam, co-founder at Amino Analytica. Let's start with a question. What do all these conditions have in common? Well, they can all be treated with protein-based drugs. So it's not surprising that 4 out of 5 of the top-selling pharmaceuticals in the world are protein-based drugs. But to really understand how they're made, we need to talk about probably the most life-changing drug of all: love. Finding that one protein to make a drug is just like trying to find that one in a million. You go on so many dates, spend so much time and money, and it's frustrating, right? Wouldn't it be nice if there's a shortcut to finding the one? That's exactly the problem of protein-based drug development. Finding the right protein to make a drug that's not only functional, but actually manufacturable in the real world. And these are called hits. Currently, pharma companies resort to physically testing thousands of proteins in the lab to find these manufacturable hits. This can take, on average, up to 4 years, costing lots of money, and still 90% fail. Wouldn't it be more efficient if you could do all this lab work on a computer? Well, the Amino Analytica platform can predict the properties of any protein entirely on a computer, meaning pharma companies can find these manufacturable hits sooner and increase the likelihood of their drug being successful. And this is our magic. I'm sure everyone in this room has probably used ChatGPT before and seen how it can understand the English language. Well, proteins are basically a language. They're sentences made up of amino acid words. And our software, just like ChatGPT, can understand the language of proteins far better than any human being can. And this is what it looks like. It's drag, drop, and go. It shows you all the key properties you need to understand whether your protein is going to be a manufacturable hit or not. So what makes us special? Well, our customers told us that their 2 main priorities are finding hits sooner and actually making sure they're manufacturable in the real world. Everyone else is focused on drug discovery. We're the only solution that's manufacturing-oriented, apart from in-lab testing, which we've obtained testing speeds 200 times faster, meaning that we can test way more proteins in way less time so we can find these hits sooner. Let's talk revenue. We charge an annual subscription of £80,000 a year. Alongside this, we'll have confidentiality agreements so our customers feel comfortable giving us their lab data that we can fine-tune our models specifically to their needs. Our initial target market is the UK and Europe. We want that first mover advantage, and our London headquarters positions us well to do this. Our beachhead market are the 900 small biopharma companies who we've learned don't have the capital to shoulder the risk of these conventional testing methods. They need a product like ours. So since starting this venture just 3 months ago in our flat, Abby and I have assembled our A-team. We both have technical backgrounds, having worked in strategy consulting and data-driven environments. And to fill in our biology gap, we brought on Matteo with a PhD in bioinformatics as the technical co-founder. And it doesn't stop there. Since February, we've brought on Dr. Angioletta Uberti, expert in computational biology, as a scientific advisor, as well as Wasim, our business analyst. Let's talk traction. Last month, we assembled our customer advisory board, consisting of key decision makers in 4 of the top 10 pharmaceutical companies in the world. And this is incredibly useful as we navigate this secretive and competitive nature of the industry. And they've told us a platform like ours will play a pivotal part in the future of drug development, which is addressing the fundamental problem of finding these manufacturable hits. In terms of customer discovery, we already have a letter of intent from a small biotech firm, and we're talking with 2 more right now as well. We know exactly where we're going in the next 6 months. After building our first prototype last month, we've just achieved state-of-the-art prediction accuracy in our prototype, which is a huge, huge milestone for us. And with the 20K price today, we can get the necessary computational power and protein database needed to finalize our minimal viable product, putting it in the hands of those 3 small biopharma companies for user testing by September. Alongside this, we're going to start our first funding round, so we can build our team and expertise required to prepare us for our European launch next year. So, new protein-based drugs will change lives. And here at Immunoanalytica, we're transforming pharma by moving from drug discovery to drug manufacturability. So please, scan our QR code to learn more, and we'd love to take your questions. Thank you.
Adam, well done. Let's bring your teammate on stage now for the final round of judges' Q&A. And as your teammate joins us on stage, I'll hand over to the judging panel to start.
Okay, thank you very much for that. That's great. I'm a little concerned that lots of people are working on something similar, even if the current competitors, as you indicated, have got some disadvantages. Can you convince me I'm wrong, or what is protectable about your technique that'll help you kind of sustain a market edge?
Yeah, for sure. That's a good question. And I guess there are a lot of players in the space, but they are specifically focused on the drug discovery side of things. And there isn't an equally efficient computational tool that can bring proteins to life into the real world. It's all great being able to, identify a target that can bind your specific pathway and work and cure your disease. But if you can't make it and manufacture it, there's not really any point. Secondly, with our first mover advantage, we aim to leverage customers' proprietary data. So this means initially we can have that high quality data. So it's less to do with model architecture at the moment, and more to do with the data that goes into our models to make those good predictions. And so leveraging that first to market lets us access that, so that's a strategic advantage for ourselves, and that's a barrier to entry for other people. Thirdly, we have a very interdisciplinary team, so Wasim and Adam have worked in manufacturing environments before at P&G and Unilever, and myself and Matteo work at the intersection of machine learning and biology, so that really sets us apart.
Great, maybe can I double click on the previous question, which I had the same question. If we go a bit deeper on why you're able, what gives you the advantage to be able to predict how these drugs will be manufactured, right? What is the special sauce that basically only you guys can use to be able to do that?
So yeah, I guess what's unique about us is, first of all, our technology. So we have trained our models on 250 million protein sequences. So like Adam mentioned in his presentation, there's a learned representation of proteins there. And we can leverage that with our fine-tuned data sets to make predictions on almost anything that we have labeled data for. And it's that learned representation that makes it so versatile and applicable to any industry almost. So I think peptides in skincare, or enzymes in fast-moving consumer goods for detergents, or even biofuels.
Lucy?
Thank you. I actually had quite similar questions, but can I ask, it seems like you've been already talking with your potential future clients. So I think, what was the encouraging thing that they said, and what was yourselves concerning things that you think it will be a business challenge? And alongside that, I'm quite curious about how you came up with the subscription, the costing as well. What kind of pricing analysis have you done?
I'm happy to take the subscription part first if you want. So yeah, pricing for this is difficult because there are no other things out there to compare it to. So we've done it based on the value added. And there's, just to say, it was £80,000. So there's two places that we feel we provide value. First one is the savings that we provide these pharma companies. So currently, small pharma companies and sort of medium pharma companies spend about £18 million across 42 months to get a drug to clinical trials. So if you do the maths, that's like £400,000 a year. AI tools like ours tend to save workload by about half. So that's £200,000 worth of savings. So that first justifies the cost from their perspective. But secondly, the unique value of a product like ours isn't just the savings. It's the fact that without our product, they can't make the drug as easily. We provide, they can't be without us, essentially. Abby can talk about the actual technology that we provide, like specifically what it does later, but I guess...
To jump in there, yeah, there are two ways that they can use our tech. So first of all is for that property prediction in the real world. So they don't have to waste time making potential hits that aren't even going to have a chance of being successful. Let's say you're going to make a drug and it's going to be toxic anyway. Why would you bother making that and wasting resources? Secondly, it can be used for sequence optimization. So let's say you have a sequence that is actually a good drug. Now, how can you increase that yield when it's made? Or if it can't be made, how can you modify that sequence so it can and still be functional at the same time?
Yeah, so with those two things, it really does mean the pharma companies with our product can bring a drug to market, which is ultimately what they care about, right? Is making these big revenues. And so those two sources of value sort of justifies our price. And from speaking to our customers, it's not unreasonable at all.
Thank you very much.
Well done to Amino Analytica there. And you have now heard from all of our 5 finalists. Just a reminder that you will get the chance to meet them, speak to them, ask any questions you might have in tonight's networking session. And again, if you are posting on social media, the hashtag to use is VCC24. Okay. It's now time to ask our judges to leave the room, and you'll be followed out by a team member in just a moment's time. And you have a really tough task ahead of you, deciding on the winner of the Venture Catalyst Challenge 2024 Grand Final. So good luck to you all. Now, while the judges are making that decision, we are going to take a short break of 20 minutes, and we ask that you are back in your seats when the timer that will appear on screen shortly begins to count down. The doors will be closed during the prize giving, and we won't be opening them again to avoid disruption. So, a short break of 20 minutes, and please ensure you're back in your seat for then. Thank you very much.
One, two. 1, 2. Are you getting that? 1, 2. Is that signal a bit clearer? 1, 2. Testing handheld 2. This is a test for handheld 2. Testing, testing. That sounds like a decent signal to me in there. 1, 2. 1, 2. Yep. All good. Happy days. I'm happy with that in here. Yeah, cheers.
Never change. Dyson Air Straight dries and straightens from wet.
Give me something to live for. Just words I whisper to no one. I don't quite see through how I used to, but I can't give up on it all. Oh, what am I supposed to do? I've realized I can't live without you. And if the life we made together turns out to be all for nothing, lost in a limbo, lost when I look at that window to the limbo. I can't lift my head from this pillow. I still think about you laying next to me as the sun went down. could see it move in your eyes. All of my time, all of my dreams, all of the signs that seem to hold point back to you. Oh, what am I supposed to do? I've realized I can't live without you. And if the life we made together turns out to be all for nothing, lost in a limbo, lost when I look out that window to the limbo. I can't lift my head from this pillow. I've realized I can't live without you. And if the life we made together turns out to be all for nothing, then where do I exist?
See
existence, you see, is something that is spontaneous. The Chinese word for nature, 自然, means that which happens of itself.
Welcome back in. If I could ask you all to take your seats and prepare for the second half of the event. Thank you very much for making your way back in so promptly. Okay. It's now time to get on to the all-important award giving. And before we announce the winner of the Venture Catalyst Challenge 2024, we will run through some of the other prizes this evening, starting with the first track prizes. And that's the 5 track prizes that will be awarded this evening. And for this, I'm really pleased to be joined on stage by a series of very special guests with the all-important task of trophy handling. When our teams come on stage, there'll be a moment for photos to be taken, and we ask if you could keep that round of applause going. That would be fantastic. Right, let's begin. Starting with the first special guest on stage. Please put your hands together for Elliot Yu from Terra to award the first track prize. And joining Elliot on stage, please welcome our AI and robotics track winners, Adam Wu and Abby Randuran from Amino Analytica. Next, please welcome Chloe So and Shoma Biro from Pulpatronics on stage to award our next prize. Please put your hands together for them. And joining them, please welcome to the stage our creative and consumer track winners, Selena Sari from Voxis. Moving on, I'd like to welcome Ben Mumbicroft from Imperial Enterprise Lab to the stage to award our next prize. Please put your hands together for Ben. And joining Ben on the stage are digital and finance track winners Natalie Cook and Radovan Vitek from Surgery AI. Okay, thank you very much indeed. To award our next prize, please welcome Alyssa Gilbert from Undaunted to the stage. And keep that round of applause going for the Energy and Environment track winner Emma Money and Antoinette Notham from Sinuskin. And finally, joining us on stage to present the final track, I'd like to invite Viera Magdalenovic Musava from Imperial College London. And please welcome our health and well-being track winners on stage, Patrick Sagatesi Alva and Junpei Kaushi Wakura from New Bond. Well done to you all, and thank you for keeping that applause going. Now, if you're wondering how you can get involved with some of the fantastic work that you've seen exhibited on stage here today and heard about too at the Enterprise Lab, you'll find the team ready and waiting to answer any questions you might have on partnerships, sponsorship opportunities during tonight's networking reception. The head of the Enterprise Lab, Sarah, who you can see on stage here, can be found on a stand based next to the catering table in the networking session this evening. I'm told that's where she asked to be put. So you can find Sarah Unterpale there and ask any questions you might have. Right, that brings us on to announcing the winners of tonight's event. And we're starting with the £20,000 grand final prize. No, we're not. That will come on in just a moment's time. And that has been decided by our judging panel. Our special prizes will come first, funded by a generous anonymous donor. This is the Moonshot Prize and the Social Impact Prize. Each has a first place prize worth £10,000 and a second place prize, that's quite a mouthful, a second prize worth £5,000. And the winners of these prizes were selected during the heats, chosen from the other 20 teams across the entire programme, and we'll be revealing the winners for the very first time tonight. That's your opportunity to say, ooh, thank you. Okay, let's get started. The Moonshot Prize rewards teams pushing the boundaries of innovation, and I'm delighted to be able to announce the second place winner tonight is Polaron. Congratulations. Okay, that takes us on to the first place, winning £10,000, and the winner is Brainwad. Well done. Okay, moving on swiftly to the Social Impact Prize, which rewards teams making a really positive change in the world. And in second place, winning the £5,000, well done, to Tullybot. And that takes us to the first prize place, winning £10,000. Please congratulate, put your hands together for Peary. And again, a huge congratulations to all of the teams. And if you'd like to find out more about anyone that you've heard mentioned on this stage, you can join them all in the networking session, which will be happening very shortly. But now, for the moment you have all been waiting for, the announcement of our £20,000 grand final prize. And I'm really pleased to be able to welcome onto the stage to announce the results of the judging panel's decision, Professor Eric Gateman. Please put your hands together.
Great, so here we are at the end. So on behalf of the three of us, we really were very inspired by the presentations, very impressed by what you've achieved, so congratulations to all of you, and we're really looking forward to seeing how your companies develop in the coming years. It was really quite a joy for all of us to listen to your presentations and to speak with you after each one, so that was terrific. Choosing a winner, on the other hand, was not so easy, and I really do mean it when I say it was very close. I'm going to say a few words about the winner before I say the name. You may be able to work out who it is as I speak. This was a company where we thought there are significant risks ahead, but the potential is huge. We found the presentation wonderful. The enormous passion from the team really came through. We were impressed by the commercial traction that you've already got. And given how visual it is, we thought this was something that could really go viral once it gets started. So if you haven't worked it out, I'm very pleased to announce that the winner is Cyanoskin. Congratulations. I guess that's all. Time for refreshments.
Indeed, just a very brief note before you go and enjoy those refreshments. Well done to all of the teams who took part this evening. It is no mean feat to get on this stage and present to you, and they all did a fantastic job. I would just like to say some thank yous before we move on. Firstly, to our fantastic judging panel for their wealth of expertise they brought to tonight's event. Also to our sponsors, without whom none of this would be possible: Novartis, Undaunted, Terra, Santander Universities, and the private philanthropy that has made VCC possible. We are delighted to be able to announce that from next year, the VCC will include a prize given in memory of Lord Harry Rennick, the technology impact pioneer, and made possible by a generous donation by the John Ryder Memorial Trust with support from the Digital Policy Alliance, for which we are extremely grateful. Right. If you have anything that you would like to find out more about, once again, a reminder, you can also contact the entire VCC cohort now, during the networking session. Outside, down the stairs in the Queen's Tower room, the rest of the VCC cohort will be exhibiting their ideas there. You'll be pleased to hear, alongside food and drink, both alcoholic and non-alcoholic, and a reminder that you can speak to the entire Enterprise Lab team about opportunities to work with them. And you'll find the head of the Enterprise Lab, Sarah, on the stall in the Queen's Tower room. Finally, just to say, if you've enjoyed tonight's event and would like to find out more about Imperial's innovative startup, the We Innovate Grand Final takes place in June, and you can sign up for tickets online. It's been a real pleasure to join you this evening, and thank you very much indeed to you all for being here, and to our fantastic teams. Enjoy the rest of your evening.
Now existence, you see, is something that is spontaneous. Because if you don't, you're going to be all clutched up. You're going to be constantly trying to do what can happen healthily only if you don't try. But we have this strange anxiety that if we don't interfere,